Hello everyone, my name is Greg Bennett and I'm holding the DBSFM, which stands for Delta Bass Satin Finish Maple Top. And this is obviously part of the Delta series in the Greg Bennett line of guitars and basses. I'm going to take you through the features and we'll just start right up at the headstock here. And I will tell you in advance that this is just, from a design standpoint, has been just a really wonderful instrument to work on, because this is a case where you can really leverage the mechanics or the physics of an instrument to create just great string performance. The headstock obviously is quite small, and as we always point out, that reduced resonance surface just prevents the headstock from sucking energy off the string. And in the case of a bass, where you really want that punch, especially if you slap or if you want to cut through and have some definition, really helps. So less resonance surface. You'll notice also that the machine heads are configured in a way so that they sort of converge, and that creates a straight pull through the nut. And anybody who has gone through the frustration of trying to tune an instrument, and you hear that ping or that little snag as the string catches in the nut because the headstock, the gears I should say, flare out, you'll really appreciate that. One of the other things that's really nice on a bass is that we have cocked that headstock back, we've angled it back, and so many basses you'll find have a straight headstock, and what that does is it forces the string to take a relatively straight path. When you cock that headstock back, you create a greater string angle over the nut, and that increases the bearing pressure of the string on the nut, which means that when you hit that string, and again, this is almost exaggerated exponentially in bass, when you hit that string, that energy doesn't drag off the top of the headstock, or past the nut, I should say. It's also light. You've got this long neck, you're on stage all night, that little bit smaller headstock adds to the comfort. And anybody who has spent hours on stage, those long gigs, you'll appreciate this. The machine heads are a really beautiful die-cast sealed gear, and they're permanently lubricated, and it's a really fine ratio, which means your tuning is going to be very smooth. You can creep up on that note, and anybody with a good ear, of course, is going to love that. And we always use laser-cut gold foil for the logo and the signature, and it just makes for a nice quality look. Moving on up to the neck here. Oh, and I should point out too, we use a black graphite nut, which is really nice. It has great tone properties. The density helps the string performance, but it doesn't have a brittle, too edgy sound, so it's really nice. And it also has a bit of a self-lubricating quality too, which players will appreciate, again, on the tuning front. The fingerboard is rosewood, and as we always point out, that has two really nice properties to it in terms of your guitar or bass's performance. Your fingerboard is exposed to the elements because a fingerboard that is finished is just really hard to work on if you have to do fret work or any sort of treatment. And at some point, most instruments, if they're played a lot, will require that. So it's a nice feature. Also, rosewood is this really dense material, and that not only helps tone, it gives you a nice brightness and clarity, but the density also means you're not pulling energy off the string. It's sort of a proximity effect, they call it. So just a great material for fretting, tone, and feel. The neck itself on this bass, as you can see, is a neck through the body. In other words, it goes right from the top of the headstock all the way through. And what that does, it allows you to have complete exposure of the fingerboard, which is really great. You can get all the way up 24 frets in this case. But because it's this neck through, you don't have a heel joint, and so that, what normally would be the point of contact, is so much stronger, and it just creates such a rigid platform that the string is literally on fire. I mean, attack and sustain is just amazing. And then again, it does give you this ability to really expose the fingerboard completely. In this case, we use a rock maple, which is a really hard wood. And in the case of bass, where you have so much low end, obviously, that doesn't compromise the tone. It doesn't add an edginess. It just adds an efficiency that just puts so much drive into the string. And again, anybody that slaps or does sort of virtuoso bass just really will love this design style. We use rock maple, and then you'll notice there's 3 pieces of that, and they're sandwiched between walnut pieces. And what that accomplishes is it lets us take these pieces of maple and reverse the way the grain flows. So if weather conditions or climate make the maple want to move in a certain direction, the other pieces with the grain going in the opposite direction will want to do the opposite thing. So you get this stabilizing quality right in the neck, independent of the truss rod that runs down the inside to keep it straight. So a great rigid platform, pushes those highs, gives you great definition, maple and walnut. As you go down all the way to the bridge, you'll see that we use independent saddles, and that little bit of isolation has proved to be really wonderful because so many guys today are really, even if they don't do it a lot in the band, there's this kind of virtuoso quality that has kind of taken over in the bass world. So those independent saddles give you that extra definition. People really like it. And you've got a lot of throw to adjust your intonation. I guess we'll just continue with the body. In this case, we use a flame maple top. And maple, as we were talking about on the neck, is a hard wood. It really enhances the brightness and the clarity. And on bass, I think it's especially cool because, again, it doesn't add a brittleness to it. It just adds to the power of the string and clarity. So we cap the front and the back of the guitar with flame maple in this case, or bass I should say, and which is just absolutely beautiful. And then you'll see in the middle, it's a sandwich of mahogany with a little wafer of walnut on either side. So that sort of adds a little bit of warmth, a little bit adds to the musical quality of the instrument. It's an active instrument. In other words, you have a volume control, master volume. You have a pan control, which lets you sort of infinitely blend those 2 pickups. And as I pointed out before, what you're doing in that case is you are sort of mechanically playing with the tone. This pickup is going to throw off a lot more treble. This is going to be a bit bassier. So you're actually playing those pickups off of one another. And with just a little bit of playing with the pan pot, you can add some edge or drop the edge back and give you a bit more warmth. So you've got a volume, a pan pot, and then treble and bass cut boost. And with active controls, this is really neat because you're actually adding bass or treble, or cutting it. So it's just a really neat setup. This long horn that you see here is just tremendous because, as you can see, it puts the weight of the instrument to the back, so you're not having to hold up that neck. It just balances just beautifully. And we tried to put a little bit of a flare there in the bottom, stylistically. So, and then the pickups I should mention too. Once again, Duncan designed pickups, and these people have just spent decades refining the theory behind what makes a pickup not only powerful, clean, articulate, but also just that warmth, that quality of tone that they can have play such a big part in. This bass, as long as I'm talking about that, I'll just back up a bit and say too, pickups are picking up what the instrument's doing. And this style of instrument is just a perfect example of, again, how you can take the physics of an instrument and sort of leverage them to your advantage sonically. So tremendous sustain, tremendous punch and clarity, exposure all the way up, balance is great, fantastic pickups. The Delta bass, the Delta series is one of many series we do. There are some more traditional style instruments that offer, bolt-on style construction, a little more traditional pickup layout. We have an offset style which puts a lot of energy where the whole instrument is the body is sort of cocked forward. That's the Fairlane. And there's some more radical styles in the Cobra. So it's just a really nice range of styles and performance properties that you'll find in these. Again, this is the Delta bass. Check it out. Well, we just went through all the physical properties and features of this Delta bass. I think it's time we plug it in and put it through its paces.